Can I do something unheard of, Don?
Go ahead.
You ready for it?
I hope so.
Can I start things off with Mark Teixeira?
She sure could, but it's going to come at the expense of me telling Mark what a great job you're doing today.
But you were going to open by saying
I was going to open with Mark. How are you, Mark? How you doing?
I'm doing great, Don. Peter, please open. I want to get a question from you first, please.
All right, well, then I can't tell Mark what a tremendous job Peter's doing.
I'm going to serve you up a big old meatball, all right?
Yes, I love it.
Okay, Don and I have been on the exact same page that as incredible and special as Manny Machado is, he just doesn't seem like the thing the Yankees should be focused on at this point. Do you feel the same way? Are you focused on a pitcher, or is he just so damn sexy that you want him on this team?
I completely agree with you guys. I don't think there's any reason for the Yankees to go get Manny Machado unless, and this is like the big asterisk of this whole July trade deadline fiasco, is if everybody else in the big leagues balks at what the Orioles are looking for and the Yankees can, quote-unquote, steal them, why not? And I think the Yankees have the type of prospects. They obviously have the money if they need to take on some other salary as a part of the deal. Maybe you package Britton in there. If the Yankees could pull something like that off and hold on to Sheffield and the other top prospects, why not?
Well, so then what would that even look like, though? So take me through that. What's the world in which you don't get rid of Sheffield or Andujar and you still manage to get Machado and maybe Britton?
Yeah, so I don't like to play let's grab these prospects and name names. But if you don't want to trade Sheffield and maybe Frazier or a couple other guys, you can put a package together of your 5 through 10 type prospects, and if it could still be better than what any other team is offering the Orioles. And I think that's what I'm talking about. I mean, if everyone out there says, listen, Orioles, I like Manny Machado as much as the next guy, but he's only given me 2 months plus a playoff push, and I'm not going to give you a top 2 or 3 prospect. I'm not going to give you my best arm, so this is what we're going to give you. And in that situation, the Yankees, because they have such depth in their prospects and in their farm system, they might be able to put together a great package for them.
I guess the only negative for that, Mark, is you said why not. I'll give you a why not. Because it doesn't look like deGrom or Mad Bum is going to be available, right? So that means your 5 through 10 prospects, you might need those guys to get the Happ, the Hamill, the Duffy, the Ross, the pitchers that are just better than CC and better than Sonny Gray. If I give up the 5 to 10 to get Manny, and I'm not going to give up any of the 1 through 5 to get those pitchers I just mentioned, I don't know if the Yankees can necessarily win or improve their chances to win if I don't find at least a pitcher or two at the deadline.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Don, and I think that's why I don't think the Yankees need Manny Machado. But if Brian Cashman is one of the best in the business, and if he can steal him, and I think that's where the Yankees just look at the opportunities. I think the Yankees are in a really good spot right now at the deadline because their needs, while everyone understands that they need a starting pitcher, there's really no big guys out there unless the Mets make deGrom available, right? I don't think the Giants are making Bumgarner available. So if those guys aren't available anyway, then the Yankees can kind of sit back and say, hey, whoever I'm trading for is not going to make my team that much better anyway. I just want to incrementally make my rotation better or maybe incrementally make my bullpen better. And in that scenario, if Manny Machado happens to be one of those dominoes that could fall, they might pick him up.
Yeah, kind of similar to what happened with Stanton, right? But we'll see if that ends up happening.
Exactly.
So it sounds to me like you would be completely comfortable with them signing him as a free agent in the offseason then.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the Yankees always enjoy having star power on their roster. And I even heard a crazy scenario where the Yankees trade for Machado so then they can send Stanton to the Dodgers. And I don't know about shuffling the deck that much, but I'll say this. If the Yankees don't win the World Series this year, they're going to have to look long and hard at, okay, well, this is the team that we thought was going to be, world beaters. And how do we need to tweak this team? And that might be signing Machado. That might be going after Patrick Corbin, one of those type of guys. And I think they have the financial flexibility to get 1 or 2 of those big guys in the offseason.
All right, let's talk about Greg Bird. 8 RBIs in the last 2 games, but all Yankee fans seem to want to harp on is the play he didn't make at the game in the game the other night. I mean, you've been in that situation. I'm not as a young kid with the Yankees, but certainly a new guy with the Yankees where the expectations were high. I mean, how unfair is it that instead of focusing on 8 RBIs in the last 2 games, the focus is he should have had the scope ground ball and they should still be playing from the other night?
Welcome to life in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, we joke about it, but and I can joke about it now that I'm not having to play every single day, but it's what have you done for me lately? It's, yeah, the RBIs are great, but we blew them out anyway. You should have made that play. And, yeah, I mean, Greg Bird should have made that play, but you can't look at one game or 1 week as a determining factor of how I'm going to evaluate this player. And I've been very vocal over the last year and a half. I am a Greg Bird fan. I think Greg Bird is tailor-made for Yankee Stadium. Now, he's 25 years old. And at 25 years old, he's got a couple years under his belt. He's got to produce. And I hope that we're seeing the Greg Bird that the Yankees front office and fans have been waiting for the last few months of the season.
Looks like that the Mets, just out of kind of desperation, because Cespedes always gets hurt, of trying to get him to learn first base. And I keep thinking about Moneyball. Remember that scene where, like, it's not that hard, and then who is it? Washington goes, no, it's exceptionally hard. You played the position. How hard is it for a guy that's been an outfielder forever to learn first base?
It's very difficult, and you look at Alex Rodriguez, one of the best infielders of all time. He didn't like playing first base. He's like, what am I doing over here? I feel like a fish out of water. I'm not even gonna try. So you want to make your team really bad, put a poor first baseman over there. A poor fielding first baseman just destroys the confidence of your infielders, destroys the confidence of your pitcher. So unless Cespedes picks it up really quickly, I don't like that experiment.
And is it true that he's less prone to injury playing at first base? Because that's ultimately what you're trying to do, is put him someplace where he's not going to get hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it could be true, but the fact of the matter is if he's legging out a double or running after a ball in the gap, you're still running full speed.
Yeah.
So I've never, now, if you take a catcher and take him behind the plate and put him to first, absolutely you're less prone to injury. But I'm not sure if that, makes sense when it comes to outfield to first base, because the guy's still going to have to sprint.
Do you ever recall a more ridiculous way for a game to end than the walk-off error in the Astros game 2 days ago?
Man, you know what? The Astros seem to just get the breaks when they need to, right? I mean, this team, they're talented. They get breaks. They had that pop-up early this season against the Padres.
Oh, yeah.
That every Padre ran past it, and that was one of those plays that I hope that kids weren't watching that game.
That was the Hosmer play, right?
The Hosmer play was earlier in the season, and now they win on this one with LaCroix. That was just ugly.
Red Sox this good?
Yes, they are. I did my first game in the booth with them a few weeks ago. They played the Angels. The Angels are a decent team. They've had some injuries, but they're hovering around 500, and they're a decent team. But the Red Sox are so fundamentally sound. They play great defense. Obviously they score runs with the best one. They have a very deep lineup. The only thing that I worry about the Red Sox is their 7th and 8th inning bridge guys to Craig Kimbrel. And Kimbrel's one of the best in baseball, but do we feel really good about Joe Kelly? Do you feel really good about Thornburg coming back after being hurt for so long? I would not be surprised if that was the main target the Red Sox had, was really getting a lockdown 7th or 8th inning guy.
Yeah, well, with Devers hurt now, you wonder if they'll end up getting Machado.
Well, everybody keeps their options open at this time of the year. You got 2.5 weeks before the trade deadline's over, and you look at your roster right now and say, okay, well, if everything goes the way it's planned, I'm okay. But if not, if Devers goes down, or if one of my guys in the bullpen or one of my starters goes down, then I'm in trouble. And you kind of have to look a little bit deeper into your roster, look at those what ifs, and figure out who you can pick up in the next 2.5 weeks to make your team that much better.
You ready for some text messages?
Absolutely.
All right, Andrew in Westwood wants to know.
Sure.
When you participated in a home run derby, were you concerned that it was going to ruin your swing?
Not at all. I was in my third year in the big leagues. I was tickled pink to be asked to participate in the home run derby, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I didn't perform particularly well because I'm not that great in BP, just trying to hit home runs. I only hit 2 of them in the home run derby, but I had a blast. Didn't mess with my swing at all. I had a better second half, numbers-wise, than my first half, and it wasn't a big deal.
Mike from Los Angeles has a great question. He says, what are players looking for when they ask the umpire where a pitch was, and what info will the umpire give them?
Sometimes they're asking, did it come back? So usually, a hitter doesn't swing at a pitch because he feels like it's inside or outside or up or down, and it's like an inside pitch that's a front hip sinker, and it comes back over the corner of the plate, and the hitter says, I had that inside. Did it come back and touch the corner? Well, the umpire always says, of course it did. That's why I called it a strike.
Right.
But I think it's just it's a nice way of saying that was a borderline pitch. Just make sure next time it's a strike. Rather than yelling at the guy, just say, hey, man, you sure that came back? Or are you sure that hit the corner? It's a nice way of challenging an umpire.
All right, Mike from Northvale. Let's get this one out of the way first. He said, can you please wish loyal listener and diehard Yankee fan Rob from Hackensack a happy birthday?
Rob from Hackensack, happy birthday, bud.
Right.
I felt that.
I did feel it. The bud, really. The bud.
Yeah.
I was hoping, give me something. He gave me a little something. He gave me a bud, which is perfect. But his question is, what's the best thing you did during an All-Star break? Vacation, sleep, etc.
Ooh. Man, the best thing I did in an All-Star break, I didn't do a lot because I really wanted to sleep, but I would probably say took my kids to the Bahamas for the first time, and they thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and played on the beach and just had a great time, and that was the first kind of long vacation I'd ever taken during the All-Star break.
Can you really reset the battery? Is that enough time for you to recharge for the second half?
It helps, but it's not, especially if you're really struggling, if you really have an injury. If you're healthy, 3 days is great. 4 days is great. If you're really battling something, 3 or 4 days isn't gonna help much. I think more of it's a mental break, and you just get away from the game for 3 or 4 days. After a few months straight, you grind in spring training, you go 3 straight months, you just don't want to see other people for a while. You don't want to go into that ballpark and see the same guys. And it's like, all right, dude, I hope everything goes great over the break, but don't call me. I'm good. I'll be good for 4 days without you, and I'll see you on Friday.
And finally, Kevin from Ramsey asks, who is your favorite superhero?
Oh, that's a good one. I would probably say Superman.
Okay.
I just remember as a kid, I had a Superman outfit, like pajamas with a cape. And I remember running around with my cousins in our Superman capes, just thinking we were the coolest guys in the world. We'd jump off of our steps down to the bottom floor on beanbags and pretending we can fly. It's pretty cool.
And he's really the only superhero where his alter ego is Clark Kent. Everybody else is the person, and then they become the superhero. He is the superhero. He's got to put a costume on to fit in every day.
Yeah. You know what? I never thought about that, Don. You're a genius. You are a superhero genius. I never thought of that. And have we had the conversation, is Batman a superhero? Because he doesn't have any real power.
He doesn't have any superpower.
He's got great gadgets.
He's got money.
Yeah.
Very true.
The same way with Iron Man. Iron Man, again, he just got a lot of cool gadgets. The powers themselves, a little iffy on those.
Were you a comic book guy?
I wasn't a comic book guy, but I always enjoyed watching the cartoons. Like I watched the Batman cartoons when I was little, and some of the other superhero cartoons. So I enjoyed those.
Well, enjoy the All-Star break, Mark. We're looking forward to talking to you next Thursday when the second half of the season gets kicked off. And I think this Yankee-Red Sox thing is just going to be so much fun because nobody wants to play in that one-and-done game, and these two teams are just so good. So looking forward to talking to you next week.
Yeah, me too, guys. You enjoy the break as well.
All right. That's the great Mark Teixeira.